Duval, till the day that I die, till the nigga can't get high, ain't no heartbeat inside. Till I done gave it all I got for the city, I'ma ride. Duval, till the day that I die, till the nigga can't get high, till ain't no heartbeat inside.
How can your policies, if elected, change and or benefit the 4th District? Jobs, crime for Duval, and what, do you go Nassau?
Nassau, St. John's, and Duval. Yes.
Nassau, St. John's,
Yes.
Duval is the district that he's looking for all of those who may not be as educated in regards to that. So,
Right. Well, I mean, let's tackle gun violence, for example, or you could talk about healthcare. The spirit of what I'm trying to do with solving problems is around prevention. You know, we have the gun detection technology here, gun shooter, I believe, or gunshot.
Shot spotter.
Shot spotter.
Yeah, shot spotter.
Right? The technology's 16 years old. So let's talk about Rutherford. He sat in that job for how long as the chief of police?
And didn't have
This
it.
technology's been there forever. Forever. Did he ever think to put something like that in that's now helping law enforcement get to scenes faster, that's now providing a different level of technology? It's 2019.
Correct.
Right? We need solutions for this day and age.
Yes.
Government's technology and government in general, just like John Rutherford, are 30 years behind the time. So
That's
if you want to
facts.
solve these problems, you need to have somebody that understands the problem, number one, but you also need someone that can provide solutions that actually work. They're creative. They address the prevention side, just like with guns. On the iPhone that I have right here, I want to have this level of biometrics on every firearm after 2025. There's no reason why you can't put that same level of biometrics on any firearm that's manufactured.
What do you
So
mean?
Biometric identification.
Your thumbprint.
it-
to
Oh,
open
it won't fire.
It will not fire.
Oh,
But
okay.
even taking it to the point, and this is where the devil's in the details. So when we have law enforcement that's out there, if you're my partner, something happens to you, I might need your weapon. So I need to have dual authentication.
Okay.
I mean, these are the kind of scenarios that are not rocket science. It comes down to money. That's what it comes down to again. The shot spotter technology, that was a budget approval.
Yes.
Right? It's like a couple $100,000. But look, it's helping people save lives.
Yes.
It's helping law enforcement. So why these decisions take so long, especially when it comes to gun violence and crime, to make, you can only look at his tenure. I mean, he didn't even put it in. He had to leave before he got in.
That is correct. You are true.
And he needs to leave this job too.
And he's at a greater office.
I've met him. He looks like he's ready. I mean, he doesn't. he does not want to do a town hall with any. He doesn't want to talk to
No,
a soul.
no.
Just go out and vote for him
Russ,
like you should. That's what he
I
wants
He's
you to
going
do.
off
That's
name
them.
recognition right
Well,
now.
everybody in
I
the
don't want
district,
them,
don't go out and
no
vote
problem,
for
Russ.
him like you should.
No.
Them.
Vote him out.
He's winning us over, guys. He's winning us over. He's winning us over. Fly,
scared.
eagle, fly. Fly, eagle, fly.
No, I honestly, I don't even meet Republicans that like this guy. I'm
He's just not a likable
I'm
fella.
doing more marketing for him than he has done for himself. Everyone asks me, who's John Rutherford? I gotta explain. Half the time I end up explaining who he is and what he hasn't done.
You got to stop that. We can't keep giving him traction.
Hey, man,
no,
we're going to have
we
to
can't
walk
do
Chris
that.
to the
It's
car.
not positive traction, believe me.
No.
He must be don't know.
He gonna be in the same conversations with our mayor and our
And
sheriff.
he's an
Okay.
easy one. I mean, what he knows how to do, and this is the truth, he knows how to solve problems like a person with a law enforcement mentality solves
That is
problems,
true. That is
right?
true.
And he's
Lock
one
'em
of the
up.
main
Lock
reasons
'em
why
up.
we have the cash bail problem sitting down at the jail right now, where hundreds of dollars, $100, could put someone out that is innocent until proven guilty, but we leave them locked up because they're too poor to be able to pay the bond.
That is true.
And that's not how the system was designed. That's what we have created, and that's what we can change.
Y'all hear that? We can change it.
We can
We
change
can
it.
change it. We have someone sitting
I don't
here.
know. We got
Every
that
person
courthouse
that's
we gotta
sitting
pay
in
for.
that predicament has a mother, a sister, a family member. And when we take the 6.6 that are incarcerated or affected by probation, and we extrapolate that out with stakeholders, we're at a 100 million person issue. And those 100 millions of people can change the system. And those are the people that I want to talk to. And not just for criminal justice reform, the same people that I see every single day that are battling with the health care bills. And I'm not talking about people that don't have health care. I'm talking about people that can't afford the damn deductible. They can't afford when they get sick. The medicines, the prices, it's Christmas. I mean, good Lord. We need to look at people as assets in this country. And as looking at assets on the global economy, on the global scale, we need to look at people and say, education. I've never met anyone too educated or too healthy, but I've met so many people too broke to afford to be educated or healthy. And that's the truth.
You're preaching. You are preaching. You are saying it, sir. Oh my gosh, it's great.
Man, you're bringing it
You
up.
know what? No, that's that Rita.
Underland.
And Sage, this is why this job is not hard to do this for me. This is the truth.
No,
I don't have
and
to
it
sit
should be
there and
easy
prepare.
because it
I
is
don't have
the
to
truth.
read no cards.
Yes.
I mean, this is the reality of the world that I've
No
chosen
top
to
box.
And
work for a
I
job.
love that. I love the fact that you're coming from the heart.
Right.
You saw it from the belly of the beast,
Right.
and you said, "I want to be a change," which is why we're here. We saw that there was no positive talk or an outlet for people, especially of color, and just of urban or minority, to be able to have a voice and have something to say in an outlet. And that's why we created it, and that's why we invite people such as yourself, so that we can help educate people out there about what's going on and that we can be a change.
Right.
So let me see here. We're on to it. The weed.
Yeah, man.
How can legalized marijuana help or benefit the 4th District, especially Duval?
Well,
Yeah, man.
Well, first off, we're already seeing the benefit from all of the dispensaries and all of the jobs. The jobs that we're looking at here are jobs that are paying between $14 to $18 to $20 an hour for the jobs that we have that are created by the cannabis industry.
They have the money to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. The other piece of it is that when we start to look at full legalization, you have to look at the domino effect that happens. All of that product has to be moved about through the country. So now you're talking about shipping, transportation, logistics. I was executive here at Crowley Maritime.
Okay.
And so understanding,
big money.
Understanding, exactly the benefit that has when we add products to the supply chain and we start moving things about, that drives more jobs, that drives more revenue for companies like Crowley, that drives more people working because products have to move. And as that ripple effect happens, then you start to see more tax revenues coming in. So when we start talking about a global and domestic opportunity of $3 trillion for the economy, now we're talking about everything from, just think about the iPhone, right? All the accessories business that came off of it. That's exactly what the ripple effect that's happened here, and you're seeing it in the States. Now, I can tell you from working in big tobacco, I never in a million years thought that it would come up from the States the way that it has. And I don't think that big tobacco thought that either, because you want to have a structure in place just like you have for tobacco. You have tax stamps, it's all set, and so the model has not gone that way. So it's interesting to see how states have taken the lead now on the recreational side, and the federal government is still so behind. If you have a medical marijuana card here in Florida and you actually use and you have a gun, you're breaking the law right now, because the federal government says it's illegal for you to have a gun because cannabis is classified just like heroin and cocaine. And that is, and if you're a proponent, John Rutherford, of the NRA, you might want to fix that.
Yes.
Facts.
My thing is, because I have been an opponent to the legalization of it because I'm worried about the children. How are we going to keep it out of the hands of the kids?
Same way we keep alcohol and tobacco out their hands. It's called parenting.
Yeah.
Well, when you got responsible parents, who actually active in
And
their
at the
kids'
same
lives.
time, at the
But that's gonna happen
see, that was back in
anyway.
the time. We weren't really, you know what I'm saying?
at the same token, and at the same token in Colorado, even from the lower level, the kids who were causing the most trouble, the burglaries, the break-ins, the graffiti, domestic violence, shootings, all that went down almost 80%.
And DUIs.
DUI.
DUIs.
Ding ding.
That's cool. When's the
that-
last
this-
time you
this-
heard
DWI.
somebody get an accident for being high?
That's
I'm telling you.
This is a major problem for law enforcement, though, because if you take, and I'm going to go to extremes here, if you take my friend right here or Snoop Dogg and we test them both while they're driving, guess who's going to show up with a higher propensity for being under DUI? They both. They don't know. They have no idea right now. They have
There's no way to
clue.
really measure it.
There's no way to measure it. No way to measure it. They do.
They're trying.
Yeah, but they don't have the money to pay for it
Can't
right
measure
now.
And it's
how
in
somebody
effect.
is.
It hasn't gone through the proper
we
test
just
trials.
got the gun shotter, what'd you call it? I want to keep you saying it. We just got that in. And now you want it to fix DUIs? She's out of her mind over here.
I just want to see the kids safe because some people are predisposition or predisposed to going on from that being a gateway drug. I just don't want them to have the access and be able to send. I guess if you're gonna send somebody in there like you do to get a pack of cigarettes to somebody at 18,
It's the same thing.
It's the same.
It's the same thing.
I'm just so nervous about that because once we open up that Pandora's box and open it up
Right.
and say, okay, we're gonna legalize this, then they're gonna say, well, why not the cocaine? I like snorting.
So
There's
there's no medical benefit from cocaine.
None, and
There's
it's
no medical benefit from heroin, meth, no.
none.
Okay, so
that's what your opiates are made of.
yes, you're right, and they're pushing that, and that is so legal. You could get 100 pills of the OxyContin for $1.
Where?
I can't.
Cartel. We done made the plug.
Trust me, I see it. I can't out the person.
That is the brokest drug dealer I've ever
I'm
heard
serious.
of.
No, this is from a pharmacy. $1. He's,
Really real.
He saw it.
I'm not nothing. I don't know. I know this lady not.
I'm telling you the God honest truth.
I know her not.
Trust me, I've gone and picked it up. $1.
I don't know what she
100
talking about.
oxycodone.
Forget what I said about healthcare. Apparently, wherever you go, healthcare is affordable.
His healthcare, the person who I'm talking about, healthcare is basic. It's basic. And he gets 100 pills. 100 oxycontin.
Yeah, for a script.
And you saw it off of one script for $1. And I had to show him and tell him, I said, this is crazy. This is ludicrous because there is no way that somebody should get 100 pills.
No, that's awful.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
The
the other day
difference-
I
It's not
came in talking about
illegal.
quitting.
It happens every month. I see it done.
But the difference is,
Yeah, straight up.
the difference is like what he's saying. With marijuana, you don't
got a
have
dollar, Rob.
with marijuana, you don't have those adverse effects. Like I said, I'm a survivor of it. It almost killed me. You see what I'm saying? It really almost killed me. It ate up my esophagus lining. I wasn't producing B12. When I got to the hospital, none of those doctors or none of these people who was feeding me this stuff wanted to own it. They kept wanting to blame it on something else. Then they didn't know what was wrong with me. They kept saying that I was I had cancer. I had this, I had that. They didn't know what was going on with me. No, it was the damn pills y'all put
They
me
never
on.
want to blame the pills either.
No.
Right, and they
Not
don't
gonna
want to.
blame
They
the
don't
pill.
want to do that. Just like alcohol, when people die and kill themselves from DUIs, they don't want to own it. They don't want to, like the gun stuff.
Guns don't kill
They
people.
don't. Right, guns don't kill people. Exactly. They don't want to own anything, but they want to continue to push it out. So the more you speak out about it, and like I said, we talked about this. Yeah, it's way more properties from marijuana and the edibles and everything else that'll keep me home, that'll keep me straight. I ain't got to worry about my ailments. I feel better. I don't feel like I'm, oh, God, or I got to go to the hospital, or my insides are
You got
about
the
to be
bubbly
eaten
guts.
alive.
I call it being legally addicted.
Right,
You're legally addicted to it. You go to the doctor. It's, maybe you need to cut back a little bit.
right.
You
And
know,
these
if you're
same,
sweating and going through the worst feelings. You
and
don't
these
have
same,
that with cannabis.
and the same dope boys that they arrested in the 80s, and you know they just not coming home. Then
Shout
you
out
got
to him.
then you got the other ones that's killing people that still got their jobs. You know what I mean? When no accountability. You know?
And as I told you, I was hooked on the opioids because of the accident that I had where I broke my neck. And I was on them December 2nd, 2006 till February 8th, 2018. And I've never taken another one. And if I could go back in time, I would have never taken the first one or refused the line going at me on the helicopter. I mean, because the stuff is dangerous. I mean, it is super dangerous, and it will kill you, and you will get addicted to it. I mean,
Right.
I consider myself to be a fighter. And I couldn't fight it. The only way I could fight it and come off of it was through cannabis.
Right. It's real. It's definitely real. But the benefits, like you said, with medical marijuana or if it's recreational, the effects the profits and everything else. You talk about the basketball teams coming here, or the different things that we can have. That's another adverse effect from it. The profits from it, being able to build and do things off the revenue. That's what I'm looking at. You know, it's a lot of things. We talk about the money. You know, that's the money.
Right, but and the other thing too is we talk about for the district here. I mean, you have marketing firms that have to create the equity for the different brands. You know, we have Truly, Move. We have what's the other one that's here?
What's the people?
Columbia.
No, I don't know that. What's the other
What's
people
the
that's
other
up the
one?
street who come to your job all the time?
Oh, you talking about Lil Pookie? What's up, Pookie?
What the heck
Whoa.
are you talking about?
Not
We talking about the
Pookie.
dispensary.
Dispensary.
Spencer, I thought you were talking about,
Shout out Pookie, by the way. Come holler at me, Pookie.
Maybe Pookie's a mobile dispensary.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what it sounds like. My God,
No,
you're gonna go to jail.
Come holler at
No,
me, Pookie.
not Pookie.
No, look,
I'm gonna have to say no to that. That's a big no.
go ahead with what you had.
I mean, you know, we talking about the money and the profits, and you're a businessman yourself. With this remake of the criminal justice and the legalization of the marijuana, is there any intent on your part in making sure that not only with those being released for possession offenses, but also open up the avenue of getting into the profit side of this budding industry? Like, how can we make sure that minorities have access to the opportunities that's going to be created by this? You said you worked at Crowley. I work at a 3PL, so I deal with Crowley all the time.
Yeah.
And Tote Maritime, we send things to the port. So I understand the logistics side of it. Maybe not so much because, you know, there's a lot of red tape around it in terms of directing us directly into the marijuana industry, but in terms of ensuring that the ones most affected by the policies and laws that went into effect that now other people are profiting from, how do we make sure that these people can now receive the benefits from these policies going into effect?
Well, I mean, first off, we got to hold people accountable. I mean, just like Crowley. If you go out to Crowley's website right now, look at their homepage and look at their executives. Zero diversity.
Yes.
Zero diversity. And I brought that up when I worked there, and as we continue to bring that up here in the district, companies need to promote diversity. When I worked at Altria, I worked at Johnson & Johnson, it's a requirement. And why is it? Because innovation comes from diversity. Because your thoughts are going to be different than mine, and I want to sell the product to everybody, right?
Yes.
So you got to have the whole train of thought. But we have to hold companies like Crowley accountable for not being diverse in their hiring practices. And every single company has an HR department like that, and it's a right to work state. So we can hold those executives accountable, and it starts when we start putting it out on their Facebook page. When we start coming together, and it's not just Chris calling it out, it's all of us calling it out and saying, look, what's up with your website? It's not reflective of anything that looks like America that I want to know, or present day, right? And yes, I can say that, and I will say it, but there's no reason why other people can't say it and stand up for what's going on. What was the second part?
What will you do to ensure that minorities have opportunities to partake in the benefits?
Well, then you
of
said
the marijuana?
decriminalization too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I've
Any
got.
cannabis offense, it needs to be exonerated,
Yes.
gone and freed, and big apologies.
Gotcha.
Big apologies. I don't know if that's financial compensation, but I mean, on the criminal justice front, this brings us back to that again. I mean, when we finally have felt as a society that someone sat in a cage in a hole for long enough to repent, regardless of what they did, which any person that's ever done that will tell you, that's not what did it for me. That is not what did it for me. And if you have someone that's sitting in that for a drug offense, 9 times out of 10, there was a social issue that impacted them financially or emotionally, and it's back to mental health again. And in those situations, all those charges should be exonerated, and anyone that's in there for something that wasn't needs to be moved out of that environment and into a mental health facility, not in a jail.
Gotcha.
When you start talking about physical, violent crimes, that's a different kind of subject to
subject.
talk about. That's a different type of treatment. I have 6 kids. I don't treat them all the same, believe me. They didn't receive the same type of grounding or anything because everybody's different.
Yes.
But we got a one-size-fits-all, just throw you in the box.
Touche.
And that doesn't work. But as far as for minorities and jump-starting business in general, I want to put money into it. I want to make sure that the taxes are there to incentivize ownership across anyone. And then I want to make sure the checks and balances are there so when we do have any discrimination, we have any type of variance, we hold the people accountable, and then they got to answer the questions.
Would you be willing to sponsor legislation that would ensure African Americans have opportunities into the ownership side of the cannabis industry as we continue to move forward with the legalization process?
I would be willing to sponsor legislation that went across all races and promote it, both whether it's man, woman, across the board. I wouldn't single out one individual.
Got you. Understood.
My thing is, okay, we had Councilman Garrett Dennis
Except
here.
for land. That were through generations. There could be taxes there like it was, incentives like it was for tobacco.
Absolutely.
Just think it through.
Okay. Thank you. No, just to piggyback on the marijuana thing, because like I said, we had Councilman Garrett Dennis here, and he talked about the marijuana, that he's trying to get it legalized, but he's also trying to remove the penalty of it. And
It's just like the House bill that was just put forward. It took care of federal legalization, but it didn't do anything for
the local. Yes, and
and
that's what-
criminal charges being exonerated or anything like that.
Yes, but in regards to that, are you for that?
I'm
We're going to try to exonerate the people who are and remove the penalty for people who are just, you're carrying around an ounce, it's for personal use, and we're not going to send you to jail for that.
Right, we're not going to send you.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
I don't want to send anybody to jail because
For marijuana.
or for for crimes that they commit.
You shouldn't be selling
yes.
pounds, no.
No,
But
you shouldn't.
what you say?
My pound is for
You smoke
personal
a lot?
use.
Sir Smoke a lot.
Guinness Book of World Records will show
We
up
got
for
Sir
you.
Sir Smoke a lot in here.
Hey, listen, Snoop Dogg.
That's
like
my
coming
only
to my
thing. I hate
house.
seeing dispensaries. See, that's my problem. Dispensaries on a few corners, and then people are still going to jail for selling
Right.
a dime bag
Because
or a
they-
nig bag.
Because they're not making any money off those people
Yes, exactly.
until they put them in jail. Then they make money off of them.
My God, it's just.
Yes. Follow the money.
Tax-free income,
All,
baby.
all of these people that work inside this system, they know it's corrupt. They know it's so bad.
It
So
is.
bad. I mean, sitting there with family members, you're taking moms and dads, their sons and daughters, and locking them up for marijuana.
And I have a problem with that.
It's ridiculous.
And then we have dispensaries selling it legally. We went in one just to see what it looked like
Yeah.
over there off of Beach Boulevard.
Oh, Lord.
We went in one. It was filled. It was filled.
Oh, yeah, no, there's a parking problem, yes.
Yes, and I'm just like, but then somebody right across the bridge though has a dime bag and he's going to jail. The disconnect between
Meanwhile-
those two, I just have such a problem with that.
Meanwhile, you still got Winn-Dixie, Publix, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS killing people legally.
The
Yeah.
biggest legal dope boys.
Yeah, it's just a disconnect, and it's coming against the people. And
Well,
then,
but this is the problem, though, is that, we're sitting here talking about this, and people shake their heads, and then people just like, oh, it's so complicated. I don't know how to fix it.
It's
How do we even get, it's not that
It's not.
complicated. No, it's not.
Accountability.
It's accountability, people doing the right thing, and people actually going through with what they say they're going to do.
yes.
The problem that I see with, I'll say my opponent in this, and I don't want to put words into her mouth, but, it does look very sequenced as far as at this point in her life, this is the point where you run for a public office, you take the bigger position, and it's more of an entitlement
Yes.
for someone running the way that she is running. I don't feel entitled whatsoever for this. I feel like I'm meant to do this job, and I'm only going to do it for 4 years. If I can't affix and do what I want to do for the people here in the district in 4 years, I'm gone. I'm going to move on to something else. Because at that point, I don't need term limits. I can set a limit on myself.
Okay. It's a good talk, Mr. Chris.
Thank you.
We like it. We like it. We like it.
Well, I will give you the final
Yeah,
words and what you want to say. Speak
Go,
to the
Matt.
people. Speak to the.
Yeah.
So I know we've had fun. It looks like we've had fun up here, but these issues are real. They're
Yes.
serious. I mean, we're talking about health care. We're talking about education. These are our moms and dads, our children. And in this world, we know we are not putting our children in people in this country as our greatest assets by giving them the right to have health care and education. That's just not what we're doing. Look at the federal budget, $4.3 trillion, and the majority of it spent on military. I just told you the top priority is their education and health care. And the military is extremely important to this country. But education and health care are the top priorities that people cite over and over again in this district. That doesn't mean we can't have 10 top flighted things that we're focused on, but if we're going to take the money from cannabis, as I talked about, and other cuts in the budget to be able to fund healthcare and education, then we have to be able to make those tough decisions. And I'm not going to make everybody happy, but at the end of the day, if I don't make everybody happy, that's fine if everyone has education and has healthcare.
And that is Mr. Christopher Eagle.
Wait, before you go, are you a sports fan?
I love the Jaguars.
You're from Virginia. You don't like Virginia?
He went to
No,
West.
but my first
You mean
ex-wife,
you mean
was a
Redskins?
Redskins fan, and
No, I'm talking about college.
no, no,
Okay.
no Redskins.
Because I was gonna ask you, Gators of Virginia, but yeah.
No,
Anyway.
no.
Oh, okay. That's what it is.
And when
I
she-
wonder where you was
when
going
she
with
liked
that,
the
bro.
Redskins, I picked the Cowboys.
We don't play Washington this
Redskins.
week.
No, we're not. Well, he's Falcons, and the rest of us are Duval.
Yeah, I don't know if I can deal with any team that has a band. That's what I can never understood about the Redskins. They have a marching
true.
band.
Hail to the Redskins.
Hail to the Redskins, yes.
Oh, Redskins, Mr. Ziff, hi. Okay,
Got
well,
a
we're
man
going to
fired.
go ahead and let Mr. Eagle get on up out of
Fly
here
on
and
up
get
outta
out
here.
of this weather and get home and get relaxed. He's left the party, but he came here to spend time with us, and we really appreciate everything that he's come and said and shared with
Big
us.
facts.
And we invite you back on the campaign. We hope that we can be able to collaborate with you in some way or another. Just let us know what we can do to help you. You won me over. You got my vote. You've got my vote.
Man, she ain't voted since '83.
That's not true at all.
Well, don't go for that.
Don't
Yeah,
listen
you been
to
telling
him.
all my
Don't
secrets.
listen to him.
She ain't voted
Don't
since
listen to
88.
him.
Jesse Jackson.
Thank you for having me. I had a good time,
Okay.
and I'll come back anytime you want me to.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're out.
Big fact.
Ball till the day that I die. Till the nigga can't get high. Ain't no heartbeat inside. Till I done gave it all I got for the city. I'ma ride. Duval till the day that I die.